When you hit 70, something strange starts to happen. The phone rings less, the invitations stop coming, and the world that once felt busy and buzzing quiets down. And you know what? I don't mind it one bit. I used to think being surrounded by people was the only way to feel alive. But now I found something richer, deeper, and more honest in being alone. I avoid people now, not out of bitterness, but because peace has become my priority. There's no drama in silence, no fake smiles in solitude, just me, the sound of the wind outside my window, in the steady beat of my own thoughts. I used to say yes to everything. Every birthday party, every community dinner, every family gathering. Even when I was tired or hurting, I showed up because that's what was expected. But now I only show up for myself. I've spent decades putting others first. I raised kids, supported friends through heartbreak, stayed in touch with people who only called when they needed something. And let me tell you, there's freedom in finally saying no. Not because I don't care, but because I've learned to care about myself too. That realization didn't come overnight. It crept in slowly, through years of disappointment and quiet reflection. There were moments I'd sit in a room full of people and feel completely invisible. Moments I'd give all my energy to someone who never once asked how I was doing. At first I thought maybe I wasn't trying hard enough, that I just needed to be more patient, more understanding. But eventually I realized it wasn't me, it was them. And it was time to stop chasing people who never truly saw me. Now my days are slower, quieter. I wake up when my body's ready. I sip coffee with both hands, no rush. I water my plants, I walk outside, I listen to the birds. Simple things I once brushed aside as boring, have become the highlights of my day. You'd be surprised how healing it is to live at your own pace. No pressure to impress, no need to explain. Just me, living on my own terms. At 70, that's the greatest gift I've given myself. It doesn't mean I don't love people. I still love deeply. I still miss those who mattered to me, especially the ones who've passed on. But I'm no longer desperate to fill my time with noise or company just to avoid loneliness. I've made peace with being alone, because being alone isn't the same as being lonely. In fact, some of my most joyful moments lately have happened in silence. Reading an old book, watching the sunset from my porch, cooking dinner for one and making it special anyway. There's beauty in choosing yourself. Sometimes people ask me, "Don't you get bored?" And I smile. Because boredom is what pushed me to finally get to know myself. When you strip away the distractions, you see who you really are. And let me tell you, I like who I've become. I'm softer now but stronger, quieter but more certain. I no longer bend just to fit into someone else's life. I've stopped apologizing for needing space, and in that space I've grown in ways I never imagined. There was a time I feared aging. I thought getting older meant becoming irrelevant. But the truth is, it's only now that I've finally started living. There's no pressure to perform anymore, no race to keep up with the world. I've stepped out of that race completely, and what a relief it is. I don't need approval, I don't need applause, I just need peace. And that peace often begins the moment I decide not to answer that phone call, not to attend that event, not to fix something that someone else broke. I avoid people who don't value my time. I avoid conversations that drain me. I avoid situations that make me feel small. Not because I'm bitter, not because I think I'm better, but because finally I know what I deserve. And I deserve peace. I've spent enough of my life trying to be enough for everyone else. Now I'm enough for me. And if that means spending more time alone, then I welcome it. Because solitude, when chosen, isn't empty. It's full of meaning. Some people won't understand. They'll say I'm isolating myself. They'll worry that I'm pulling away. But the truth is, I'm just being honest. For the first time in decades, I spent years being social because I thought I had to be. Smiling when I didn't feel like it. Laughing at things that weren't funny. Showing up even when my soul was tired. That's not connection, that's performance. And I'm done performing. These days, if I show up, it's because I genuinely want to. Not out of guilt, not out of habit, but out of choice. You see, something happens when you turn 70. You stop worrying about what others think, and you start thinking about what you want. And what I want is realness. not just in other people, but in myself. I want slow conversations, not small talk. I want truth, not politeness. I want someone who looks me in the eyes and actually listens. But those people, they're rare. And when you find one, you don't need a crowd. One genuine person beats 100 empty connections. I used to walk into a room and wonder if people liked me. Now I walk into a room and wonder if I like them. That shift changes everything. It protects your energy, it saves your time, and it helps you realize just how often we waste our days pleasing people who wouldn't even notice if we stopped showing up. I've learned to say no, to stay home, to be with myself and feel good about it. Not because I've given up on people, but because I've chosen peace over performance. There's a big difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness feels like something's missing. Solitude feels like something's finally right. I didn't always know the difference. When I was younger, if I wasn't around people, I felt restless, anxious. But now, I sit in silence and feel completely full. I light a candle in the evening, sip tea, and feel more alive than I ever did in a crowded restaurant. I don't need validation anymore. I don't need noise. I just need honesty, even if that honesty means fewer people in my life. And let's be real, some people are exhausting. They come with their complaints, their gossip, their drama. You try to listen, try to help, and by the end of the conversation, you feel drained. That used to be me. I used to carry other people's problems like they were my own. But now, I've laid that burden down. I've realized that not everyone deserves access to my time, especially if all they do is take from it. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's survival. And at 70, survival means more than just being alive. It means living well. I used to worry about missing out, but these days I realize I was missing out on myself. I was too busy running from one event to the next, trying to keep up, trying to belong, but I already belong. To myself. That's enough. I've stopped trying to explain this to people who don't get it. Some folks still think a full calendar equals a full life, but I've had enough full calendars. What I want now is a full heart. And I get that not from others, but from me, from being still, from reflecting, from letting go. Now don't get me wrong, I still love deeply. I still call the people who matter. I still enjoy the company of someone who brings kindness, warmth, and calm into my life. But I no longer chase connections. I no longer bend to fit into circles I've outgrown. I don't join just to belong. If I'm not welcome as I am, then I don't want to be there at all. Life's too short to keep shrinking for the comfort of others. At 70, I've earned the right to stand tall, even if I'm standing alone. Sometimes people say, "But don't you get lonely?" And sure, there are moments I wish I had someone to share a meal with, someone to laugh with during a movie. But those are just moments, and they pass. What doesn't pass is the peace I feel every day when I wake up without dread, when I go to bed knowing I lived that day for me, not for someone else. Peace is better than company. It lasts longer, it costs less, and it always shows up. I've found that when you stop chasing people, you find yourself. And that self, she's been waiting a long time to breathe, to rest, to take up space. I've gotten to know her again. She likes quiet mornings. She enjoys slow walks. She doesn't need anyone's permission to feel whole. She's not bitter. She's just done pretending. And once you stop pretending, life feels a whole lot lighter. You don't have to keep up appearances. You don't have to play nice with energy vampires. You get to just be. You know what else happens when you turn 70? You stop lying to yourself. You stop saying, maybe they'll change, or it's not that bad. Now you see things clearly. If someone drains your energy, you walk away. If something feels wrong, you trust that gut feeling. You no longer sit at tables where respect is not being served. That kind of clarity is a gift, and I had to get old to unwrap it. I don't need to explain myself anymore. I don't owe anyone an excuse for choosing peace. People often think older adults are just grumpy or closed off. But the truth is, we're just tired of nonsense. We've seen too much, heard too many lies, watched too many friendships fade the moment things got hard. We've learned that some people only love you when it's easy, but real love shows up when it's uncomfortable, when things are falling apart. If someone didn't stand by me during my worst, They don't get a front row seat to my peace. That's not bitterness, that's self-respect. I remember being in my 30s and 40s, constantly trying to fix things, relationships, broken friends, people who never gave back what they took. I'd bend over backwards, give second chances, explain myself over and over. And for what? So they'd finally value me? No more. At 70, I value myself enough to walk away. I don't chase anyone. If you want to go, go. If you want to stay, then show up with love, not excuses. Time is too short for anything less than truth. You know what fills my heart now? Simplicity. A clean kitchen, a good book, a nap without guilt, a phone call with someone who actually listens, not just waits to talk. I don't need wild adventures anymore. I need moments that feel real. I need honesty, warmth, laughter that's soft and true. I'm not looking for fireworks. I'm looking for a steady flame that doesn't burn out after 5 minutes. I want relationships that feel like home, not chaos. And yes, I'm quieter now, more selective. Some call it cold. I call it careful. When you've had your trust broken enough times, you learn to protect it like gold. You learn that not everyone who smiles is kind. Not everyone who stays is loyal. So I take my time. I watch how people treat others. I listen closely. I'd rather be alone than misunderstood in a room full of people. I've done that before. It's one of the loneliest places on earth. At 70, you also stop apologizing for having boundaries. I used to feel bad when I said no. Now, I say it with a full heart and a clear voice. No, I don't want to go out tonight. No, I don't feel like listening to gossip. No, I'm not interested in rehashing old drama. I don't owe anyone my energy. That doesn't make me selfish. It makes me wise. I've got less time left than I've already lived, and I'm not wasting one more minute being uncomfortable to make others feel at ease. Sometimes people from my past reach out. They want to reconnect. Let's catch up, they say. But I remember who they were when I needed them, and they were silent. I remember being the one who always called first, who always forgave. And I think, do I really need to go back there? The answer is no. Growth means leaving some people behind, not out of hate, out of healing. If we outgrow clothes, why can't we outgrow people? And to be honest, I love the life I have now. It may be quiet, but it's peaceful. My home feels like a sanctuary. I wake up with the sun, sip coffee while the world is still soft. I take walks and listen to birds. I spend more time in gratitude than in regret. That didn't happen overnight. It took years of heartbreak, disappointment, and finally courage to choose myself. Not in a selfish way, but in a soul-saving way. There's a kind of freedom that comes with age if you let it. Freedom to say what you mean, to love who you love, to let go of who you're not. I no longer feel pressure to impress anyone. I don't decorate my life for display. I live it for myself. I eat what I want. I wear what's comfortable. I laugh at silly things. I cry when something moves me. I don't hold back anymore. This is me, raw, real, and finally at peace. And yes, sometimes I still miss the noise, the parties, the packed dinners, the loud laughter. But I don't miss the pretending. I don't miss the politics of friendship, the layers of expectations. What I have now is deeper, smaller but truer. I've traded quantity for quality, and I've never looked back. Some people may not understand this life. That's okay. It wasn't meant for them. It's meant for me. And for the first time, that's more than enough. People don't realize that aging isn't just about getting wrinkles and gray hair. It's about becoming emotionally lean. You drop what doesn't serve you. You lose interest in small talk. You don't chase approval anymore. You get laser focused on what matters. Your peace, your health, your heart. I used to think growing old meant losing things. But I've gained so much clarity, so much strength. I'm not fragile, I'm focused. You want to know what's sacred to me now? Silence. That deep, nourishing kind. Not awkward silence. I mean the kind that feels like a blanket, where nothing needs to be said and everything still feels understood. I'll sit in a room for hours with no noise, and I'm not lonely, I'm centered. When you're younger, silence feels like something to fix. But when you're older, you realize silence is something to protect. It's where peace lives. And I don't compete anymore. Not for attention, not for validation, not for love. If it's not offered freely, I don't want it. I used to think I had to earn my worth, be useful, be needed, be liked. But I've learned my existence is enough. I'm enough, even if I do nothing, even if I stay quiet, even if I choose myself. That's the kind of self-acceptance you only earn through years of being everything for everyone. Until one day you finally stop and say, what about me? There were years when I felt invisible, when I'd speak and no one really heard me, when I gave and no one gave back. But now I don't try to be seen. I don't beg for space in anyone's life. I've built my own, a quiet, gentle life where I belong to myself. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And that's okay. I'd rather be someone's shot of truth than a watered-down version of myself. The right people don't need you to shrink to stay. Sometimes younger folks ask me, what's the secret to a happy life? And I say, it's not a secret. It's a decision. Decide to stop chasing what hurts. Decide to love yourself enough to walk away. Decide to make peace your priority, not popularity. Happiness isn't something you find. It's something you protect. And sometimes that means closing the door, turning off the phone, and sitting alone with your soul until the noise fades and the truth settles in. I used to fear being alone. Now I embrace it, because being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means I'm not settling. It means I'm not forcing connections that don't feel right. I'd rather have one honest friend than 10 who only show up when it's easy. I'd rather spend a Friday night with a book than in a room full of fake smiles. My circle may be small now, but every person in it brings peace, not pressure. That's the difference. You know, I've made mistakes. I've held on too long. I've trusted the wrong people. I've apologized when I shouldn't have. But every mistake taught me something. And now I give myself grace. I don't shame my past. I honor it. It made me who I am. I've earned my lines, my scars, my silence. I don't erase my history to make others comfortable. I carry it with pride, because even the broken parts of me are worthy of love. There's something powerful about living on your own terms, about waking up and not needing to prove anything, about walking away without guilt. That power doesn't come from anger, it comes from peace. I'm not bitter, I'm better. I don't hold grudges, I just hold standards. If you can't treat me with kindness, you don't get access to me. That's not punishment, that's protection. And at 70, protecting your energy is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. I laugh more now, but not the loud, look at me kind of laugh. It's the soft, deep kind that comes from healing. I laugh when the sunlight hits my plants just right. I laugh when the kettle whistles. I laugh at memories, at simple joys, at how far I've come. My laughter isn't for show anymore. It's real. It's earned. It comes from knowing that I've survived things that once tried to destroy me. And I came out softer, not harder. That's a quiet miracle. And I've learned this. You don't owe anyone your peace. Not even family. Not even childhood friends. Not if they continue to disrespect your boundaries. Love doesn't mean tolerating pain. Love means truth, safety, gentleness. If they don't bring those things, then let them go. It doesn't make you heartless, it makes you whole. You can love people from a distance. You can forgive without reconnecting. Healing doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it means release. The older I get, the more I realize that not everything needs my reaction. Silence has become my strongest response. I don't argue to be understood anymore. I don't explain myself to those committed to misunderstanding me. I let things go. I let people go. Peace isn't found in proving your point. Peace is found in no longer needing to. That's the freedom I've earned. And that's why I avoid people now, because peace is louder than noise. There are people who only come around when they need something, when they're bored, when they want to gossip, when they need your energy to refill theirs. I used to answer every call, reply to every message, be available for everyone. But now I don't. I don't chase. I don't convince. I protect. I reserve my time for people who pour back into me, who speak life into my days, who don't just take but give. That's what matters at 70. And this idea that old people are just grumpy or antisocial? Number. We're just finally honest. We've lived too long pretending, smiling when we're tired, laughing when we're hurting, showing up when we're drained. At some point, you stop performing. You stop pleasing. You start living. Authentically, that doesn't make you cold. It makes you real. And if that honesty makes others uncomfortable, they were never meant to stay. I still love deeply. Don't get me wrong. I still cry at songs. I still get goosebumps from kind words. I still believe in friendship, in love, in second chances. But I don't beg for them. I don't shrink to be loved. I don't bleed to keep others warm. My love now has boundaries, and my heart, while still tender, is guarded. Because I've learned that kindness without limits becomes a playground for users, and I'm nobody's playground anymore. I wake up slow now. I stretch. I breathe. I look out the window. I let the light touch my face before I speak to anyone. I give myself that moment of stillness, that reverence. When you're young, everything feels urgent. When you're older, you realize most things can wait. And the things that can't, they're usually not about things. They're about people, love, presence. That's the real urgency, showing up for the right things, not the loud ones. You don't need a calendar full of appointments to feel valuable. You don't need constant plans to feel alive. Sometimes the most meaningful day is one spent in quiet reflection, watching the birds, watering your plants, calling someone just to say, "I'm thinking of you." These are the riches of old age, not money, not status, but stillness, simplicity, presence. That's what I protect now. That's why I've stepped away from the crowd. I've learned to listen more than I speak, to observe more than I react, to let life teach me even now. You're never too old to learn, never too wise to be humbled. Sometimes just sitting with a sunset teaches you everything you've been trying to figure out for years. Sometimes peace isn't a destination, it's a decision to stay soft in a hard world, a decision to walk away without slamming the door, a decision to rest. So yes, I avoid people now, but not because I'm bitter, because I'm better, because I value my time, because I've earned my solitude. It's not rejection, it's redirection, back to myself, back to the parts of me I'd forgotten while trying to keep everyone else happy. Now I live for me, for my peace, for my joy. And if you want to be part of that, you're welcome. But if you come with chaos, I'll kindly show you the door, and I won't apologize. Aging isn't the end. It's the beginning of wisdom, of clarity, of finally living life on your terms. No pretending, no pleasing, just presence, just peace. So to anyone watching this who feels like they're losing people as they age, don't be afraid. You're not losing, you're being refined. Your world is being edited so the real story can begin. And I promise you, that story is more beautiful than the one you were trying to write before. If you're over 60, over 70, even over 80, and you feel alone, let me tell you something. Your solitude is not a punishment. It's a sanctuary, a sacred space to come home to yourself, to love yourself fiercely, to choose peace over performance. You're not invisible. You're powerful. You've lived, you've learned, and now you lead, not with noise, but with presence, not with crowds, but with calm. That is the power of growing older. I don't regret aging. I welcome it, because each year has shaped me, softened me, strengthened me. I've laughed, I've cried, I've let go, I've held on. And through it all, I've discovered that the greatest love story is the one you have with yourself. Learning to be okay with being alone, learning to trust your own voice, learning to stay home with your soul. That's not loneliness, that's liberation. That's why I avoid people now, not out of hate, but out of healing. So if you're at a point in life where the phone doesn't ring much, where the invites stop coming, where the room feels quieter than before, don't panic, don't grieve, breathe. That silence, that space, it's sacred. It's where you finally meet the most important person in your life, you. Sit with yourself, laugh with yourself, grow with yourself. And when someone does come along, make sure they match your peace, not your pass. Because in the end, it's not about how many people surrounded you. It's about how deeply you lived, how gently you treated yourself, how bravely you stood alone when necessary. At 70, that's what I've learned. That peace is not the absence of people. It's the presence of self. And I'd rather sit with my own soul than stand with a crowd that doesn't see me. So here's my advice, from one soul to another. Choose peace. Choose stillness. Choose solitude, not as a punishment, but as a privilege. And remember, it's okay to walk away from noise, from chaos, from people who don't know your worth. You're not running from life. You're walking toward the version of you that finally knows how to love in silence, how to heal in quiet, and how to live without permission. You're not too old to change. You're not too late to start, and you're definitely not wrong for choosing yourself. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed. You have. That's growth. That's survival. That's wisdom. And if avoiding people is what brings you peace, then that's exactly what you should do. You owe no one an explanation, just peace. So the next time you hear someone say, they're old and distant now, just smile. Because what they call distant, you call deliberate. What they see as cold, you know as clarity. And what they call loneliness, you've turned into freedom. You're 70. You've earned this, all of it. And no one gets to define your peace but you. That's the real beauty of age. That's the quiet power of walking alone, on purpose, with joy. Thanks for listening. And if no one has told you lately, you're not too old, not too forgotten, and not too late. You're just beginning a new chapter, and it's the most peaceful one yet. If this video resonated with you, please take a moment to like and share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Don't forget to subscribe for more honest and heartfelt conversations about life after 60. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned about yourself or others as you've grown older? Drop a comment below and let's support each other on this journey. Thanks for watching and take care of yourself.